We also invited 3 of our brand new alumni who had just been at our profiler training event like 2.5 weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago now, in Orlando, Florida, Susan, Will, and Kim. And they're here with us tonight live, and we want to honor their time. So we've invited them to come and share some of their experience first before we get started, because they wanted to share from their hearts about what their experience was like. And then we get directly into the easy mistakes that people make in typing. So before we move into that, let's go over to Susan. Susan, hi. Welcome and glad you're here. Hi, how's it going? Where are you joining to us from tonight, Susan?
I'm in Virginia at home.
What is your best fit type?
I'm an INFJ.
Fantastic. And you just got through our profiler training program a few weeks ago. What was that experience like? Paint us a picture.
Yeah, so for the 6 months, for the months of the program, I actually got to learn how to sort of go across all the types and get to a single type with a person in a short period of time. It sounded impossible at the beginning of the course, right? So when I was trying to profile people on my own before the course started, I was looking at all cognitive functions and there were all kinds of models that you give us and techniques and tools that you give us that I didn't have. And so it was taking me months, and I was observing people and checking and rechecking, and I couldn't figure out how somebody could do it in an hour with a stranger. So I learned a lot, and then it culminated in the live event, which was extraordinary for me. The live event was an opportunity from like 8 in the morning till 8 in the evening, at least, nonstop, to talk to people about type, every wishful thing I wanted to know about type. I literally, like the day 3 or 4, was remembering all the INTJs I think I work with and saying, I need to talk to one. And one of my classmates was like, yeah, let's do it for lunch. And so how do you handle TEFI? Because I don't understand. And I'm trying to distinguish my TI from my NI, and how do you do this? And we talked nonstop, like without a breath. And there were all these opportunities to see other dominant functions at work and to get to really embrace the full, I'm going to say glory, the full breadth of a dominant function especially ones I don't relate to, like SI. There was an embodiment exercise where an SI person shared, and that changed me. I work with a couple of ISTJs that are dear family friends as well as professionals, and I got to understand SI and see it through their eyes. And I sort of am, I'm humbled by it. And I realized the gift of the dominant function. And now I'm going through systematically every dominant function and trying to see and understand, and the entire course, but especially the live event, even in how people responded to questions. Like I could, at the end, you could start to think an NJ just asked that question, or made that comment, or what have you. You could just start to connect the dots and understand, and take that into profiling people so that it gets so much quicker and starts to become an unconscious competence.
Yeah. So clearly profiler training is designed to teach you the skill of profiling. But you actually spoke to something that was personal to you. You created some understanding by being around other personality types. You said it kind of awakened something, or it enlightened something for you, which is kind of a side benefit that we don't really talk a lot about. But that was your experience, and that you had some ahas around introverted sensing, or what we nickname memory. And the people in your life that use that process. That's kind of cool that it was just beyond the skill even.
Oh, it's, and I had a chance to type his wife, who also is SI dominant. I profiled her as soon as I got back. And I have an entire, not a different relationship, but there's greater depth. I understand her so much more. And I hear an NE, and I hear the absence of intuition. So, or, it's not something she plays with a lot. And I didn't realize it was thwarting her a little bit and dealing with me and her daughter. So it's been amazing.
Awesome.
So if someone is thinking about doing this, like when you were going through the process of looking over personality hackers profiler training, thinking about the decision, what would you have wanted to know? Like, how could someone really make a good decision if this is the right fit for them? Because we don't want to pressure somebody in that's not. We want this to be a good community of like minds We want it to be a right fit, the right energies in there. How can someone think about applying? Like what advice would you give them?
Somebody who's passionate about their own personal development and probably spending a lifelong journey of learning about how to interact with people and to learn what's sort of, I don't know, I see everybody as a diamond, right? What's precious and unique on this multifaceted diamond of each human being, and to have that opportunity, and to sort of have your own cognitive functions in the proper perspective, right? That maybe your 10-year-old function isn't, appropriate in a certain situation, or to see that maybe that's not the healthiest behavior or the most mature behavior, and to own up to it. And also to maybe connect with shadow functions. I had an experience with FI, it always feels out of reach for me. And so there was that opportunity, and I actually found it, where else are you going to go where you're going to get to talk to people who all day, who have the language, who have the vocabulary, who have the interest, and who want to share. So we learn from you, from both of you, of course, and it's amazing. But then we apply it 2 seconds later at lunch, at dinner, every break, and we're just constantly sharing and talking. And so for FI dominance, it's almost unconscious. They take it for granted, but maybe I get to talk to somebody who's pilot or whose 10-year-old is FI, and I get a better sense of how it works. And they get to talk to me about NI, and I think, wow, NI doesn't work that way for me. And we have a different conversation. So you get greater depth. And even if you're not going to profile the whole world, which I'd like to try, I think if I could, you can at least say, hey, there's a function coming at me. It might be tertiary, it might be, it might be the 10-year-old, it might be the pilot, but here's what I'm seeing, and here's what I'm great at dealing with, or what I'm not so good at dealing with, and now I know what kinds of I have strategies to interact with them. So if you want to learn about that and be able to apply it to work, to home, to family, to relationships, and I didn't even think about that I would profile a friend and then it would help her deal with her daughter and work on where her daughter is about to go to college and understand her daughter better. There's just so many benefits that I didn't expect, and they just keep coming.
Cool.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to share? I appreciate you being here tonight to share your experience.
Very much so.
Yeah. Any other last words, or do you feel complete?
I do. I'll just also say that we played a game in the car. So they made up a game called Car Model. I mean, just have these precious memories from the live event where things were great. And I was in the car with 4 people, and 2 people in the back seat were just kind of cutting up like the 3-year-old and the 10-year-old. And it was funny, and it was a game, and I was trying to drive and was distracted, but that tells me about my cognitive function. And it actually was a little bit insightful into how a 3-year-old and a 10-year-old behave. So I recommend it if it's a good fit for a person.
Awesome.
Thank you, Susan.
Yeah. And thank you for emphasizing the benefits that come from being in the community. That's a hard thing to communicate, to really actually communicate what it feels like to be on the inside. But in my opinion, it's one of the best emergence that comes from this entire program. So thank you for highlighting it. Yeah.
Thank you, Susan. Have a great rest of your evening.
Yeah.
Appreciate you.
Yeah.
All right. So we heard from an INFJ, Susan, but I do want you to hear from kind of the opposite side of that a little bit. Let's go to an introverted thinking accuracy user. So Will, welcome. Will, you just went to the same one. You were there with Susan a few weeks ago. So first of all, where are you coming in from tonight? Where are you joining us?
So today I'm calling in from Ottawa. I actually arrived here 5 minutes before I joined the call. Was just driving here from Toronto to visit some family here.
Oh, fantastic. And what is your best fit type?
INTP.
INTP. Okay. So now INTPs typically show up and they have expectations of a lot of information. There's, how INTPs sometimes show up to the world looking for certain things. So what was your experience like as an INTP coming to profiler training?
So I joined profiler training after having been an MBTI nerd for a couple of years, actually. And so I was kind of at the point where I just have like an endless appetite for learning as much as I possibly can about everything to do with typology. And so what I wanted to do was just mine as much experience information, like literally anywhere I could just squeeze one sentence of how SI might be described in one particular different kind of way. And like, oh, that's a nugget. And even if it was amidst an hour of other conversation, I'm like, yeah, I already know that. Oh, that's interesting. That kind of thing. So I went into it literally just being like, it will be worth it if I can get a few golden nuggets of extra information, which if you already are, in a similar situation and you're wondering if you'll be able to get some, yes, you will. The amount of content you get, even leading up to the live event, is immense. And then at the live event, just like the amount of conversation that you have around type when you're in a group of people who love type just as much as you, and the bandwidth you can have of conversation between that. Like if I'm trying to describe my cognition to somebody and they don't know a lot about cognitive functions, then I'm like, oh, okay, well, you know how kind of when you think like this, and it just kind of breaks down conversation. But if you can actually go and introspect with somebody else and get to see how they introspect as well using the same terminology, like the bandwidth of information transfer is immense and fantastic. So just as a learning opportunity to be around people like that, that's fantastic. So that alone was amazing. What I wasn't expecting, but that which blew me away was, okay, actually, you know what? I was expecting it, but I guess I wasn't expecting it to be as impactful as it was. I joined Profiler Training because I also wanted to go and find like-minded people such that I could find my tribe. And I've always had a bit of a difficulty finding my tribe because I have a lot of disparate interests anyway. And I like to learn about a lot of different kind of stuff. And so I wasn't exactly sure like who my tribe would be, I suppose. But I can say now at 30 that after having met the people at the live profiling session that I did and having the interactions with them that I did and the experiences that we shared, like that is the most emotionally impactful experience I think that I've ever had with a community of people. Like you guys know, I had more tears come out of my eyes than I'm even familiar with ever coming out of my eyes in any other situation in life, which, not to scare anybody off, by the way, it was a wonderful experience. It was amazing. But yeah, just the connection that I felt with people who were similarly oriented in a direction of wanting to understand themselves and other people with a true openness to their own experience and other people's subjective experience of reality, and being able to share that without judgment was unbelievable. And it's not even just like an openness to the information, as maybe somebody who's an INTP already kind of has access to, but an openness with your heart almost, and like providing love to somebody else, such that like we're in this journey together, we're here together, let's learn together, let's be better together. And I think that as like a pillar, like a foundational element of the people who tend to come to Profiler Training, that was the thing that defined us as being in a tribe together. It was really, really wonderful. So, regardless of how much you know already, how much you think you know already, there was so much more value than I was expecting. And yeah, I got it. I got both the intellectual stuff and the emotional stuff in spades.
Yeah.
I know as NTPs, we don't get this, but for some people, being moved to tears is actually a selling point.
Yeah. So if someone is thinking about making a decision, maybe somebody wired like you, they're introverted, thinking, what, or another type, doesn't really matter if they're not exactly your same type, but what kind of things would you recommend people think about if they're looking to see if this is a fit for them?
Well, I think the way that I made the decision was that I listened to your guys' podcast all the time. And so often I would be like, man, I want to be there talking with them so badly right now, because I want to go and add this, and I want to go and add this, and this little bit of information that I learned about this and this, and just like adding to those kind of conversations. And just, I don't have people in my life who, well, okay, I have actually quite a few people who know this stuff. And probably more than actually a lot of people do, but not quite with the nerdiness level, I suppose, or at least the bandwidth for being able to, or the what's it called, the appetite for being able to talk about this stuff for as long as I can. And so one of the cool things is like if you have an appetite for intuitive discussion that includes this stuff, but maybe other stuff too. If you want to go and talk about how AI research, intersects with typology, yes, there's an appetite for that. And so like if there's a drought of intellectual stimulation in your life, and if you're on this call, presumably you're going to share an interest, this interest at least, and you are going to be able to satisfy that. I think the other thing is that there might be some trepidation around like, okay, well, how experienced should I be, how experience how experiences to experience, all that kind of stuff. And given how much information I already had access to versus other people who were coming in completely fresh and new, and all of us having such a powerful experience together, I don't think that that's a stopping point at all, right? Like, I encourage you to come if you just feel like you'd want to go and have a great experience with like-minded individuals. That seems to be the biggest selling point for me. I feel like there's something missing, but my mind's not grasping on to exactly what it is. It's kind of like one of those things where, like, yeah, if you're listening to the podcast, I'm like, I just want more of this. Can I have more of this? If you feel that, then this is probably a good fit.
Cool.
Awesome.
All right.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to add before you feel complete?
I'm
putting you on the spot. I know.
There's that one thing that your brain is
bring it
like
out.
circling the drain on. It's like there's a thing that you want to say, but you're trying to figure out what the thing is. Yeah.
There's a term called jarve-vu, is similar to deja vu, and I learned this from Vsauce 10 years ago. But basically, if there's this thing that you want to say to somebody, like a word, or who's that actor, who, whatever, and then you're trying to find it, but in trying to find it, it like smooths the grooves around everything. You can't find that one word. So it's kind of like that I'm trying to find, like the thing that I want to express to people. But I will say, though, that one of the cool things that I did notice happening is that here now, it seems, my energy levels go through the roof. Like, I feel like I'm on crack right now, and this seems to happen every single time that we're on the QA calls, or certainly throughout the entire live event, which left me comatose for the week afterward. Still awesome. But I don't get that anywhere else. And so it's kind of like you don't know parts of yourself until you have some type of situation that can evoke that within you. And so I didn't have access to that energy before. And that's a fascinating experience for me, and a very energizing one. So, I mean, that's an interesting thing, right? Like, that's one of the things, like the emotional experience you might have being in a group of people who are like-minded. If you don't know how that's going to affect you, then that's something you get to discover by going in and having an experience like this. And that might seem scary to some people, but it was such a wholly positive experience for every single person there. Like, I'm excited for the next group of people who get to come, like every single group. Like, I don't know, I just feel like so much gratitude for you, Joel and Antonia, for making this happen and curating such an amazing group of people to come to these things, because yeah, it was life-changing. It was amazing. I loved it. Love you guys.
Cool.
Thank you so much. I
Thank
appreciate
you.
it. We
Thank
loved
you.
having you in this last cohort. It was awesome.
Thanks, Will.
Yeah. Thank you
And
very much.
I'm complete, by the way, and I see my internet's kind of unstable, so hopefully this doesn't. Anyway, I'm good. I'm complete.
It's good. I think we got the gist of what you were saying, even when it cut out on us.
Yep.
So thanks,
Yeah.
Will.
Thank you so
Talk
much.
soon, man. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Yep.
Okay.
Talk soon.
I appreciate you. Kim, let's go over to you. Hi, Kim. In fact, we've heard from two introverts. Time to hear from an extrovert. Right?
Bring it. Here we go.
Hi, Kim. Where are you joining us from tonight?
I am in Washington State.
Fantastic. And
Pacific
your best with
Northwest. I am an ENFJ.
Wow. And you got I love comedy.
Yeah, it's a little backwards now. I usually flip it so you can read it, but it's fine. Yep.
Oh, we can actually see
Yeah.
it.
Oh,
It's
can
not
you?
'cause
Cool.
you're-
It looks backwards to me, so that's fine. Good.
Yeah.
I'm glad you can read it.
So what was your experience like as an ENFJ at the Profiler Training event?
Yeah, it was amazing. So I think I was always, okay. So I had been lurking, right? As a lot of personality hacker fans have, we've listened to the podcast for years, and I'm like, ooh, profiling. Okay, I'm gonna do that someday. Like, I was like earmarked, I was on the list. I would and so it was finally like getting to go now. Finally in this year, like, has been just really amazing. And I've always really looked forward to all of the embodiment exercises, like this thing that you guys talk about. Oh, we do embodiment but it's something that you only do at the live event. So it's like, what is that exactly? And so getting to show up, my 10-year-old SE loves presence and maximum aliveness. And I think that to me is what the entire event feels. I was thinking it's been super fun getting to go last and listen to Susan and listen to Will talk about this. And I'm making notes of what I'm tracking about what they're saying. But I was thinking that it's basically to me, like a week of being in flow state, like being in the room, right, with everyone there and all of the learning, all of the culmination of all of the videos, getting to like listen to Antonia talk through all of the videos that we get to take, we're just like soaking it up, and then getting to be there in the room with everyone else who they've done the same prep work that you have, and just the quickness of exchange of like having people, they're just like, they're eager, like everyone is eager to connect, right? It's like, and as an ENFJ, like I'm usually the one that wants to connect, and other people are like, it's, yep, hi, like it's a lot. So beginning to be in a room full of introverts, there's more introverts there than extroverts, which is hilarious to me. And like everybody wants to connect the same amount as you, like that's just bliss. That's just bliss to me. So yeah, and getting to have the experience of being, shepherded through the embodiment exercises, of really getting to have a different kind of understanding, right? Like, like we listen to the podcast, we know all the stuff, we know all those, we can tell you the car of any type, we could talk about it, we could, we could fake our way through all the explanations, we could do all that stuff, but then to really get to embody it and have an understanding. And I know that, Susan had mentioned, having like aha about SI, right? I think everybody in this class, we all had that same, like, I think we only had one dominant SI user, right, in the class, right? And so listening to him talk about his experience blew my freaking mind, right? Like, because I just don't have access to that thing, and I didn't realize the difference. And I think, we all sort of, I think one of the super special things about Personality Hacker, right, is you make this super safe space for intuitives to show up, right? We're usually the, kind of the weirdos out in the world. And so now we get to be really safe. So I think also it can create some sensor bias, right? So I think that was something I really, really appreciated about myself, is getting to like break my own sensor bias by seeing the absolute depth that SI brings. And anyway, it was amazing. It was amazing. So yeah, I think just there's something about live events, right? Like you could take, we can listen to the podcast, there's like all of the starter kits, there's all these other things that you guys provide, and there's books and there's other programs that people do, but there's something different about a live event, right? When you get people in person, and the exchange that happens, the energy in the room, all of that, like it's like it's just flow state happening all the time, because everybody is showing up transparent and vulnerable, and they're ready to give and ready to receive what else is happening in the room. And so yeah, so that just feels it's like I covet being there, right? You know what I mean? Like nobody wanted to go home, we all wanted to stay. And so it's definitely something that I think if people have the opportunity to do it, like you need this experience, like you need to know what it's like to have this kind of human interaction and experience. And it gets you get to know yourself better, and you get to know other people better. So it's totally powerful.
So the embodiment exercises for you lived up to the hype.
They did live up to the hype. And it's funny too, and I'm not going to spoil it, I won't say anything, but like they're simpler than you would expect too, right? Like they're like, I didn't, so I'm like, okay, what are we going to do? But yeah, they did live up to the hype. And there's something that it's a practice I want to continue doing, because I think it gives you a totally different experience and a different appreciation for understanding what other people are bringing to a relationship, and to something like, oh, you do this thing. Can you just do the thing you do? It's so great the way you do it. And also giving me freedom, like, I don't have to be good at everything. That's awesome. Like, it's fine. But I get to stand in the power of what I do carry, and like, cool, I'm going to be really good at this thing, and I don't have to apologize for that. Like, let's just show up and do the thing. So I think all of that, we just need more of that in the world, so just want to empower people to be their best selves. So
thanks, Kim.
Yeah.
So if someone's watching right now, trying to make a good decision, how would you encourage them to make the right decision for them?
I think, gosh, so many things. Yes, please go, right? Like, please be a part of the thing. I think it's something about like if you're looking to, I mean, definitely if you're open, right? If you're looking to learn, right? I think if you're looking to receive from others and not just come in and like tell everybody how much you know about type, I think that's really important. I think, you know, the environment that you guys create, that you model together, as you know, as the way that you guys, being married, running a business together, egalitarian, you know, like it's super awesome. Like I think just that, like getting to show up and give and receive, and that precious balance that you guys create and demonstrate, and the way that you facilitate the room. I have to say, I've learned a lot about running events from watching you guys, and I'm like, and it's been really, I'm like, mwah, like my Effie is very, very happy with the way that you guys set us up. You know what I mean? Like just adult learning, like managing adult learners, and like with the way that you make the room and set everything. Anyway, it's delightful. So I think in order to fit into this amazing environment that you guys have worked so hard to calibrate and make it like it does feel natural. It feels like family, but I can see all the intention. Like these things are done in a certain way because it's doing something really, really special. And so I think it's just super important for people to come in eager to learn, eager to give of themselves in a really humble way. And so I think that's really important, to make sure that you're there to be a part of the experience, and to fit in with, let the group be its own thing. And I, you know, I like to think the best of people. So I'm sure people, you know, people that are here on this call, like, I don't imagine anyone coming in to like arrogantly like take over. But I think it's important, like, you know, check your ego at the door. Like you're here to learn, and you may have listened to every podcast, but you don't, you know, let other people speak and have their room, you know, let them speak about their own experience and really honor what it is to know their type. You might understand about their type, but someone who is that type, like letting them be the expert of their own experience, like that was amazing. So yeah, so I think it's just really about coming to give of yourself and to receive from others. I think that attitude, you can't lose. So
Thank you, Kim.
Thank you. And thank you for noticing all the little things that go into it.
You're welcome. I love you guys. I'm just so grateful to be a part of this community. And yeah, Joel, you got to figure out a way for all of us 201 students to get back to live events, because we just want to live there, you know. So, you know, whatever you got to do, man, make it happen.
Thanks, Kim.
You're welcome.
Appreciate you giving us your time tonight, and have a great rest of your evening. Okay.
Absolutely.